Okay, let's say it's 1938 and you're reading War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. And at the same time, coming out of your radio is also War of the Worlds, but it's the Orson Welles version, right? And you're sitting there and you're thinking, wow, we have so many different technologies for transmitting storytelling. What a fascinating modern age we live in. Here's the thing, between those two things, a paperback novel in your hand and radio on your shelf, one of them is digital technology and one of them is analog technology. And if you were forced to guess, most people, knee-jerk reaction would say, well, the book is analog because it's older technology, and the radio is digital because it runs on electricity, right? But that's not the definition of those two words. You see, analog comes from the same root as analogy or analogous. So a painting of a cow has no essence of cowiness in it. But because of the similar shape and the similar color, the allegorical representation, it is storytelling. If you can say a picture of a cow is a story, when someone's voice is recorded, it's pressure waves moving through the air. But when it gets recorded, it is transmitted through radio waves, which are actually made of light you can't see, light whose wavelength is so long it's out of our visible spectrum. And when a radio receives those light waves, those radio waves, it translates them back into sound waves out of a speaker. So the waves of light and the waves of sound are analogous, but they're not the same thing. Sound waves can't travel through space, but radio waves can. That's why we have radio telescopes like Hubble. And in old radios, there was literally no digital components in them. So, spoiler warning, radios, at least old school ones, were completely analog. I am a proponent of claiming that books are digital technology. And you may say, hold up, digital means digits, means numbers. And while there may be page numbers on a book, that's not the story. The story is letters, words. And to further argue your point for you, you may Google what is digital. What does that mean? What define digital? And it might tell you that it's encoded information of ones and zeros. And you say, gotcha. But here's the thing. First of all, don't trust the internet. And second thing, don't trust dictionaries. Trust me. Okay, maybe don't trust me, but listen to my argument. What made the discovery of DNA so earth-shattering, I'm getting somewhere with this, don't worry, is that we discovered that the foundation of all life on Earth was digitally encoded. We literally created digital technology before we discovered that we were made with digital technology. And if you are trusting the internet and dictionaries, you can look and see that most people will claim that DNA is digitally encoded information in nucleotide base pairs, right? They're pretty alien if you're comparing them to letters and numbers. You see, the difference between analog and digital is that analog information is taking the qualities of something and expressing it in a different medium, while digital technology takes the qualities of something and puts it into quantities, the constituent fundamental parts of that information. For most applications, digital technology's superior characteristics makes it a better option than analog. For an example, an oil painting can fade and degrade and deteriorate. And at every step of that process, you are losing some information. You're losing the intent of the original artist. You're losing what it looked like in the beginning, and it is changing over time. Books can also degrade and deteriorate, but the difference is you lose no information in that process until the letters are completely illegible. The deterioration process changes the appearance of a book, but you do not lose information. It's for this reason that every living organism on Earth can have thousands of generations, and there's no deterioration of that information. There may be evolution of that information, but each copy of a copy of a copy doesn't get worse and worse and worse. It is partly for this reason that societies went from cave paintings or cuneiform or hieroglyphs into written language for specificity and information compression. Now, this may all seem very pedantic and esoteric, and we're about to get lost in the sauce, but let's back up. And my original intention of bringing these points up was to talk about something even more convoluted. You see, the real kicker with language is that it's attempting to take everything in existence that we experience or imagine and to put it into our spoken language. And then to take that spoken language and represent it in written language. And spoken language is analog, while written language is digital. But because of the entropy of information compression, we lose a lot going through those layers and steps. But that is a feature, not a bug. Because if we use that characteristic of written language, it can be its strength, not its weakness. So stepping way back, I'll give you a very simple example of if you're reading a story and it describes someone as the kind of guy who would apologize if you stepped on his foot. There's only a little bit of information there, but you are filling in a lot of the gaps. You are painting in the details as you read information like that. It's what Cobb described in Christopher Nolan's movie Inception, that when we are creating or dreaming, it's an act of simultaneously perceiving and imagining, true creation. And this process doesn't just happen when you're writing, but it also happens when you're reading. So the written language becomes the common thread between us. It becomes the touchstone, the path. It becomes the clouds in the sky that we see slightly different animal shapes in, but also the pile of laundry in your dark bedroom that we all see different monsters in. It becomes this concrete thing that we abstract out of. And in that process, we become co-creators with those writers. And the point I'm trying to make in all of this tangential information and opinion is that I think writing's harder than we give it credit for. And I know I really should be writing right now, but I'm distracting myself by making this video. Thanks for watching this video. Don't push any buttons. Don't subscribe. Don't trust strangers on the internet. Stay safe.